In every single one of my astrology videos, you'll hear me talk about what I call the 3 M's, and they stand for meditation, mirror work, and mantra. And they are foundational practices that I have discovered over the years are the most transformational, healing, and helpful concrete tools that people can do every single day. They don't tend to take a lot of time. They don't need to. They can take as little as long as you want. And they really make a difference in moving the needle in resolving trauma, breaking through old patterns, and developing a deeper relationship with ourselves in terms of loving, honoring, and truly accepting who we are right now in this moment today. Hi, I'm Amy Rose White. I'm an integrative psychotherapist and astrologer. I make YouTube videos on healing, concrete healing tools that go along with the astrological transits. So I wanted to make a video really describing the methodology, the why and the how to use the 3 M's, because I don't spend a lot of time doing that on my other videos. So my goal is to create content and give you usable tools that really hit the mark and can create significant change without feeling like it's one more job or task to accomplish. So let's start with number one. That is meditation. Now, most people have almost a visceral response to meditation if it's not already a really positive practice in their life. And for women, the way that we in the West construct meditation, and actually even the East, which is the origins, wisdom traditions, contemplative cultures around the world have used meditation for thousands of years as a path, one of the practices on the path to enlightenment, or self-realization or self-actualization, if you want to use Jungian terms. However, that practice, if we think of it as only being still and without thought or absence of thought, is going to be much more accessible and apply to more masculine energy beings. And by that I mean, if your consciousness is more singular focused and outward focused, meaning that you have more of a penetrative energy and prefer one thing at a time, or you have a drive towards emptiness and completion, that practice of traditional meditation where we quiet our mind, or if that's really even the goal, which I would argue it isn't even in the contemplative cultures necessarily, depending on the philosophy and wisdom tradition that you are studying, that is going to be very, very difficult, particularly now that Uranus is in Gemini. I'm making this at the end of April 2026, when Uranus has just entered the sign of Gemini, a very busy, changeable, mutable air sign that has lots of ideas that want to at times go all over the place. So because feminine energy beings, and that's true for you regardless of sexual or gender identity, but women's brains tend to be multivalent in their orientation. It's not, just it's not a stereotype that men tend to be more singularly focused and women better at multitasking. Our brains are actually wired quite differently. As politically incorrect as that is to say, I'll stand by that, having worked with women and men and people who identify as non-binary for my entire career. So for me, in the practice of the 3 M's, meditation is less about witnessing the mind and stilling it, which is something I actually engage in every day to strengthen more of the alpha archetype in my own psychic field. But the omega archetype, or the more feminine way of meditating, is actually by thinking about a phrase or thinking about a thought, or allowing a reflection to land in the body, or listening to a guided meditation. So when I suggest that people reflect on the meditations in my video, what I'm saying is that you simply allow your unconscious mind to consider a new thought, and that can be worked with however it suits you. Maybe that is asking the question or thinking a new thought and then sitting in silence and watching what the mind does and focusing on the question or focusing on your breath. Maybe it means writing the reflection question, the meditation, down. Maybe it means writing it down or asking your subconscious to work on that thought or that question in your sleep and receive information in your dream time that you then document as soon as you wake up. The subconscious really likes engagement. So if you set a dream journal and a pen next to your bed and you go to bed with the intention that you're going to reflect on the meditation of the day, perhaps mine or anyone else's, The more you do that, the more of your dreams that you will tend to recall, be able to craft patterns and go back and look at them and see, what the invitation might be of those dreams and the messages that are found within them. So in this way, we can take the idea of meditation as something to consider and allow to just be in us, in the same way that we don't actually need to interpret or understand dreams as much as we need to learn to, or we can benefit from allowing the symbols to simply be with us and notice how that feels and then see where they kind of show up in our lives. That is how to use that particular M. The second M that I often talk about is mirror work. Now, this is probably my favorite, most transformative, and most difficult modality that I have to offer you and myself and the clients that I work with every day, because mirror work is a direct access point to the parts of us that carry shame, inadequacy, that are afraid of exposing vulnerability. It's an access point to every single negative belief that we hold somatically in our bodies, that we might be protecting or collapsing around, that we're not even aware of. If I ask someone who has extreme trauma in their history to look at themselves in the mirror and say loving things or say some of the things that I am suggesting in the videos, that will be nearly impossible in the beginning for some people, because there are so many loud parts that don't believe that it is safe to vulnerably state some of these kinds of affirming, loving, vulnerable, and brave statements. And so if that's true for you, don't push it, don't rush it. You can simply say them to yourself and notice what happens in the body. The goal, however, is to ultimately be able to point to that left eye, which we tend to think of the receptive side of the body as, and it gives us a focus point rather than kind of looking, darting back and forth, looking at ourselves. And immediately, just in looking at ourselves, how often do you actually make prolonged eye contact with people? That is one of the great gifts of my work, is I get to actually see and be seen every day, all day, working with people. And I've noticed that my own children, my two grown sons, actually have a capacity that a lot of their peers don't for eye contact and therefore depth and connection in relationship. Because when we're really looking at someone, we're offering presence. And we can't hide behind all of those protective masks for very long. When we avert our eyes, or we get distracted, or we even, self-reference by itching something or scratching or, shifting in our seat, we're losing a bit of the consciousness and the presence that we are so deeply, especially in the day and age of technology running our lives. I know I'm working on not having my phone with me as much right now. We are really actually losing the skill. It's like an intrapsychic muscle of presence, eye contact, breath, and really, really listening and being with another. And that's true for people. It's true for our children, our friends, our lovers, our partners, and even our pets. How often do we actually just allow ourselves to be with an animal and the love that it's generating and sharing with us? So mirror work, looking at our own left eye, taking a deep breath, allowing the posture to be straight, and using some of the phrases that I offer in the videos is, I promise, going to help you face fears of shaming yourself, meaning that you're only sticking to the phrase and the statement. And the inner critic parts that come in and say, oh, you have new gray hair, or there's a wrinkle, or you look like crap today, or you look really sleepy, or oh, you're ugly, or it could be on the continuum of neutral to really cruel. Those voices start to settle down when we expose ourselves to looking at ourselves in the mirror with kind eyes only. And that's something that I realized is really important to state, and this is a practice that I get from London Angel Winters and Justin Patrick Pierce. I've studied with them, been in their coaching group, and gone to one of their intensives. The practice of looking at another or yourself with kind eyes only and noticing what you see is what led me to embed mirror work, as much as I possibly can in my own life, and offer it to clients as a practice, and of course, into my YouTube family. So with kind eyes only, when you look at yourself and you say something affirming like, I trust that I can handle this, or I believe in my capacity to change, even when it's hard, or I know that it's not too late for me. Something really deep in us starts to reorganize beyond all of those limiting beliefs. And I made a video some months ago about belief work kind of being a scam. I don't think I called it that, but I was basically saying, like, stop working on changing all your beliefs, because you won't. You can't. It's wonderful to change your beliefs and use affirmations. That's my next one, is the mantra, which is a little different than an affirmation. But it's impossible to hit all of them. As soon as you really change a significant old belief, there is another old negative one waiting for you. So what do? We open through those negative beliefs anyway. And mirror work teaches us to do that. Yeah, you'll hear the voice say, oh, you're looking old today, or, there's a new wrinkle, or you're too fat to wear that, or, whatever those cruel voices are. We all have them, sadly. But when you breathe and you stay in the loving moment with your nervous system, recognizes that the vulnerability and the connection with yourself in kindness is actually not a threat. It's actually not dangerous. And it gets easier and easier to receive love, wholeness, and the well-being of the right now moment. And that's why it's so powerful. And it also makes it so much easier to truly be present, connect, and allow another just to be themselves with wherever they are at. And that's the key to harmonious relationships, in my opinion. It's not making the other person wrong and not trying to change someone in the right now moment, but really being with what is happening for them right now from a place of compassion and curiosity. And I have not found anything better in healing anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, any disorganized attachment. Attachment wounds respond better than anything else I have ever found to mirror work, because there's nowhere to hide. Your nervous system will get upset and it will want you to look away, and it will be mean, and all kinds of parts and voices will come up. And if you keep breathing and you stay long enough, whether it's 1 minute or 10 minutes, you will change the patterns in your body that avoid connection and intimacy and vulnerability. The third M, of course, is the mantra. The word mantra, the etymological origin, is the Sanskrit word, two words actually, manas, meaning mind, and tra, meaning tool. Literally, this translates as instrument of thought, also translated as a sacred message, a charm, or spell. And that's typically what people think of around mantra. They think of Om or Aham Prema, or, mantras to Shiva. They could be so many things. They could just be the word peace. In my videos, the way that I'm using them is a little bit affirmation, but also as a sacred sound, because new thoughts that we have not allowed to be possible in our psyches, when repeated, when we think it, when we write it, when we walk around with it, they do become our new beliefs, because beliefs generally are simply a thought we've thought over and over and over again. Now, I don't mean to contradict myself earlier that we never get rid of all our negative beliefs, but the more we practice the ones that are actually going to serve us, the better we feel, and the more tools in our toolbox we have when we open through those negative beliefs into changed behavior anyway. Doing changed behavior first and expecting the feelings and beliefs to come second is a subject for another video that I'll make soon. Thank you so much for joining me here. I truly appreciate your likes, your subscribes, hyping the video, sharing it, and for subscribing to my newsletter or downloading any of the many free resources on my website at amyrosewhite.com. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.